Om Namo Gurudev Namo. Om Namo Gurudev Namo. Satnam. My name is Jennifer Giordano, also known as the modern Yogini. I have a little bit of playfulness, a little bit of seriousness, a little starseedness, a little crazy, all wrapped up into one being that is me. I've been on a wild ride this lifetime. Started out as a little 18-year-old cheerleader, seemingly a normal, popular girl with blonde hair and a big butt. I started in college as a marine biologist. That didn't work out because I was afraid to make $35,000 a year studying Petri dishes with $150,000 worth of college debt. So gave up on that dream, but loved it while I was doing it. Went to school in Hawaii, came back home. When I came home, I lived in a trailer park with my mother in the California area of the desert, near Redlands, California. I had discovered pretty young, as I lined up all my little dolls on my bed, that I actually really enjoyed teaching. Everything that I would learn at school, I would just turn around and teach it to my stuffed animals. Teddy Ruxpin was probably my favorite. So why am I telling you the story of my life? Well, I'm introducing you to one experience of life. You have your own experience of life. After coming back from college, I finished up my degree, thinking that's what everybody said would bring me independence and freedom, was making sure that I got my college education. Started doing that. Got an associate's degree and then found a circus group called the American Acrobats. Boy, was I ready to become a circus freak. I jumped right into that. 3 years of aerial arts, adagio, which is human pyramid building, and all kinds of other freaky things. Aerial ballet, my first love. I walked away from that 3 years later after the acting and the modeling world. I did really well, ended up in Maxim magazine, Muscle and Fitness magazine, was on Fox Sports, the best damn sports show, period. I really had a good time with my life. So one thing I recognized pretty early on was that I was here to really live and not find a pattern and then stick to it, but to learn through experience. And when I mean experience, I mean to try everything at least once. Now, as you can imagine, this took me down some pretty windy, scary roads. I didn't always behave like a saint, like a sage, like a Mother Teresa. But I have always been a tool in the hands of Creator. I have always been a goddess. I have always been a manifester. I have always been a mystic. I'm joining you live today because I want to talk about family feuds and the fires of transformation that are occurring in California right now. Right now, we're in a series of activations. There have been, and the solar eclipse was one of them, there have been floods of light, floods of energy coming from the cosmic center of the galaxy, the galactic center, which is a black hole. And there's also energy coming from the sun. So we're talking about this pulsing energy. There are tubes of light bombarding this planet. You and me and everyone else are receiving that energy. It's causing turmoils and struggles and traumas and difficulties with relationships. It's causing difficulties with relationships with ourselves. All of these things are purposeful. There is nothing wrong. The world is not ending. The earth is not going to destroy herself. She is choosing who she allows to keep here. And there's also choice in the matter from the people who live on earth. So a lot of people are checking out, especially very high vibration beings who are receiving a lot of high vibrations, but they don't know how to handle it. They don't know how to adapt to that new, fresh energy coming from the cosmic center, coming from the sun. And they get, their nervous system can't handle it, and they end up shutting down, and they end up creating, because we're all creators, they end up creating an accident, they end up creating something that happens, and they end up dying, or they get very, very sick. So if we have innate healing abilities, we can return from that. Resurrected beings. That's what I'm here to tell you. I am one of the resurrected beings. I am constantly dying and being reborn, consciously, conscious and aware of that. So today I went for a walk, as I do many days, and I decided I was going to let something go that has been a struggle, something I'm suffering with. My grandmother, God bless her heart and soul, loves, 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 and worships, really, in a very sacred way, my guide. Her name is Lori, one of my angel guides. She's my mother's sister. She's my grandmother's daughter that died in her 20s from falling off of a building. She was trying to help somebody. Oh, that's kind of cool, isn't it? That's some crazy rainbow light. Okay, we got to angle this properly. There we go. Okay. So, back to the story. My grandmother lost one of her 8 children. And Lori, I believe, came back when I was born. Now, Lori was murdered, or she died accidentally. She chose to leave by falling off of a building, going into a coma, and then dying. So she died on the day that I was born, 1 year before I was born. And I believe came back as my spirit guide. So my grandmother and I have really struggled because she has expectations of all of her grandkids and all of her children that everyone has to meet her expectations. And if you don't meet her expectations, and if you don't do what she thinks you should do, which is earning her love, then she shuts you out of her life. She will not talk to you, call you, unless you do things her way. So basically, she's, in my eyes, struggling with control issues. She also is very, very high anxiety. She is unconscious in many ways. She believes a lot of things, like that medical doctors know everything and that medical doctors can be totally trusted, that you should never look at alternative healing. She believes that the Christian faith is one way and that she should judge others who are not Christian and only have friends who are Christian. There's lots of things that I could say about my grandmother that are dissonance between her and I, because I don't believe that way and I don't think that way. So recently there were some fires in Oceanside and Vista. I was there when they started. I was driving to my grandmother's house to have a special sacred experience with her. I had canceled plans to go to Utah, and I was ready to have some fun with my granny. We were going to go to a symphony. So the fires ended that really quick. I'm going to do something about this light. Hold on. Okay. Woo! Now you're not experiencing me completely in the light, totally drowned in light. So here's the thing. When I went to spend that sacred time with her, I had my intuitions and my psychic awareness full blast. It was totally turned on. My clairgnostic abilities were really strong. And I felt like I needed to pick her up and take her away from her house. So I had a little date, and instead of going to the date and then going to my grandma's house, I took my grandma, picked her up, and brought her on the date with me. And then we ended up at the meditation gardens, the Yogananda's meditation gardens at a place called Swami's in Encinitas. So here's what happened. After the date, she insisted that I would take her back to her house. Against my will, against the will of my guides and angels, against my own knowledge, my own wisdom, I did what she wanted me to do. And the entire time that I was driving her back to her home, she was accusing me of being controlling. Let's talk about what that is. That is called a projection. Your family members, when you are a starseed, when you are an evolved conscious soul, are going to challenge you. That is their mission. That is what they have come to do for you. And you chose them. So as painful and difficult and how harmful that feels for someone not to agree with you, and that you cannot have your needs met because somebody else is conflicting with your needs. Their needs are more important than your needs. When this is happening, it can create an incredible amount of pressure on your energy bodies. And the neutral mind becomes a place where you really need to stay. So we're talking like, stay in the neutral mind in those moments. Stay strong in all of your teachings and all of your breath work. That's where you're supposed to use like meditation practices. That's where you're supposed to use all of these things. And I struggled. I felt like she was controlling me. I felt like she was not giving me my power. She wasn't like allowing me to be in my power. She wasn't allowing me to say, I don't want to go back there. And she was telling me to pull over and let her go inside of a car, Uber. What kind of a granddaughter like dumps her grandmother off of the side of the road, doesn't stay with her grandmother, and her grandmother just gets to go off back to this burning house? I didn't even want her to go back there. She has asthma. My grandmother has asthma. And she was okay with like being in the smoke and the ash back at her house. So I took her back. I was very concerned, and I put my own emotional safety, my own physical safety at risk because that's what she wanted. I helped her load up her car. I helped her put all of her things into her car. And then I started feeling really uncomfortable. She started to call every Republican friend, every Christian friend. She called this guy, this older man, and she asked him if she could stay with him. She didn't ask him if I could stay. Then she asked me to just leave and go, figure out my own place to stay. So here's this weekend that was supposed to be so sacred to me, so sacred for us to bond and get to know each other. And she's abandoning me. That's the way it felt. I had canceled plans to go to Utah. I had canceled my plans with my friend Veronica to have this beautiful resort in Park City and go skiing so I could spend time with my grandmother. And not only was she putting me in physical danger, emotional danger, but now she was rejecting me and abandoning me. This is my perspective. This was the story that I was playing out in my head. So repression of those emotions started. And they were bottling up because I couldn't speak to her about any of it. She didn't care. She wanted her way and no compromise about it. And There was no cooperation between us. It was just, this is grandma's way and deal with it or leave. I wonder how many of you have actually had interactions with your family members that are like this. I'm sure we've all had similar experiences with someone in our life. But I have these experiences a lot with my grandmother. And it has divided us. It has created a circumstance where I just don't feel very close to her. I don't feel safe emotionally with her. So I expressed to her that I would rather go in a hotel and stay with her until the fires stopped. So she started looking at hotels. And we started looking at some hotels, and I said, let's go to a hotel that's at least 20 minutes away from here, because then we won't have any fire or reactions, or, you know, that we would be safer. No. She wanted to be 4 to 5 minutes away from her house. She was insisting that she would stay very close to her house. I said, Grandma, what's the point of leaving your house and going to a Quality Inn that is also being evacuated? Because she wanted to go to the Camp Pendleton Quality Inn. Well, again, she insisted that I did things her way, even though I knew in my intuition was telling me to do this and this and this. She was constantly rejecting me and telling me, no, that's not how we're going to do it. Well, as things started to unfold, she asked me to call the Quality Inn. I called them and I asked them, are you guys anywhere near the fire? Should we come and stay with you? The Quality Inn reception said, no, don't stay here because it's not far away from the fire and we are probably going to be evacuated. At this point, you know what's in my mind. My mind is going, I told you so. I told you so. Why don't you listen to me? Then it's my little girl, my little wounded girl who doesn't feel heard and doesn't feel seen. And she gets very, very upset inside me. Well, I basically let my grandmother have it. She's over 80 years old and I still let her have it, because building and building and building and building up was this constricted energy that I am not being heard, I am not being seen, I am not being cared for. That was my trigger. So I looked at her and I said, Grandma, you are the most uncooperative person. I have been sitting here telling you. I raised my voice and I lashed out at her in a way where I just let her have it. I said everything that I needed to say on my mind, and she ran away from me, and I followed her into the bedroom. And I said, you wonder why you don't have a relationship with your granddaughter. This is why. You are uncooperative, and you are controlling, and you are projecting. Do you know what a projection is, Grandma? You are projecting onto me all of your own control issues. Well, she didn't like that very much, and she threw her hands up and said, oh, yeah, I'm a bitch, I know. Yep, guess who got to turn into the villain? I was the villain, because I was pushed beyond my comfort zone and ended up going into the fight or flight cycle and ended up raising my voice at an 80-year-old woman with a burning house. Well, no, her house wasn't burning, but the potential for her house to burn down was there. These are those situations you get into with family where nobody is hearing anybody, nobody is cooperating. So now I'm not able to go to Christmas because I have tried to reach out to her to resolve the issue that we had. I ended up leaving, and I've tried to say, let's come to peace, let's come to forgiveness, let's come to terms with both of the responsibilities, your responsibility and mine. And what has she done? She has simply told me, no, by not answering my calls. She has blocked me out, rejected me, and said she doesn't want to have any conversation with me except through text. And all of her text messages are blaming me, shaming me, and guilt-tripping me, because that's how she feels. This is the thing, guys. We do not need to internalize what someone else thinks about you. Because oftentimes the reason that they think that about you is because they feel that way about themselves. What you see in me, you see in you. If you love me, you adore me, you want to go into forgiveness, you want to resolve the issue, it's because you're willing to do that for yourself. If you want to blame and shame and guilt, it's because that's what you do in your own mind to yourself. You treat others as you treat yourself. Do unto others as you do unto yourself. If you want to be forgiven, forgive others. If you don't want to be controlled, don't control other people. If you want to live in a joyful state of being, be joyful when other people are being difficult. So here's some of the words I'm getting. And I want to break this down because I think it's important. I've reached out 3 voicemails. I tried to see her before I left San Diego. She didn't care where I was. She didn't care what I was doing. She was only taking care of herself. So here's a message. I've been unable to communicate with you because I need time to heal from your attack on me. I just don't feel safe with you. You broke my heart because I wanted us to have a wonderful time of bonding and it ended up a disaster. I love you and I always will, Grandma. Let's rewind. I've been unable to communicate with myself because I need time to heal from attacking myself. I just don't feel safe with myself. I broke my own heart because I wanted to have a wonderful time bonding, and I ended up making it a disaster. I love you and always will, Grandma. See the words beneath the words. The way someone treats you is the way they treat themselves. So don't take it personal. Don't make assumptions. Don't take anything personally. Always do your best. Always remember to be discerning. Here's another one. I asked her, I said, do you understand that going to Ed's house and abandoning me and telling me to go fend for myself was very wounding and painful for me? And she said, no, I'm not taking responsibility for that. That's you. You had a misunderstanding. You misunderstood me. I just wanted you to be safe. Excuses. Taking no responsibility for your actions shows up as, I didn't do that. Excuses. Even if you don't think you did it, you could at least acknowledge someone when you're in this kind of cycle. Oh, is that how you feel? I'm so sorry you feel that way. The way that I perceive the situation is like this. That's how you have non-conflicting conversation. So where there's no conflict, where there's a peaceful dialogue, and then everybody's needs are being met. Everybody gets heard. Everything gets resolved. When you face people, face conflict, face it. Don't run away from it. You misunderstood what I said. I wanted you to know he was conservative and didn't want you to be offended. You said you didn't feel safe. I said you needed to be where you felt safe. Why is somebody else telling me what I need? That's control. If somebody else is trying to tell you what they think you need and they know better, just go neutral. Know that that is an opinion outside of you. No one can find out or tell you what is safe for you, what you need to learn from a situation. I wanted you to come with me, but I didn't want to pressure you. I'm sorry you misunderstood me. You see these assumptions and these taking everything personally and not being aware of what somebody else actually really wants and really needs? This is family feuding. This is family misunderstanding. If we learn to ask more questions and to then listen to the answers, that is where peace comes from. Peaceful interaction, peaceful resolution. So today, after all this resentment I have built up over the past few days and feeling very negative thoughts about my grandmother, I decided to do something miraculous. I am praying for a Christmas miracle. I am praying that my grandmother's heart is healed. I'm praying that my Aunt Lori, her spirit, and my Uncle Jim, their spirit, can go to her and show her through dropping little hints, dropping little messages, spiritual messages, physical, little things that God, the creator, can only get through to her. And I've communicated with her higher soul because I want to be with my family for Christmas. Don't you? Don't you wish in your heart of hearts that your little wounded child could just be heard and seen? This is where I'm at. So I walked for about an hour to my oak tree park, right here where I'm staying in California. And as usually happens, I had a mystical journey. I was just getting so pent up and angry and frustrated. Oh, my grandma's just ridiculous. I'm just going to run away. I don't want to have anything to do with her. And then I looked down on the ground. My eyes were directed straight to the dirt. And I looked down and I saw this. This little smashed heart. Smashed by cars. When I looked at this, my higher self communicated clearly with me. What the situation needs is more love. What you need is more love. Here's the thing. When we add a little dose of love into these circumstances, and we pray and then let go and let God heal you, that's where our power is. So I continued walking. Then I ended up at the park, sitting in the oak tree, crying, tears rolling down my cheeks, my heart feeling open. And I started singing. And I watched two little girls and their dad with two dogs in the park, in the playground. And I asked Earth, nature, Gaia, and the angels to show me a message that would calm my bleeding and angry heart. And this is the song that I sang. This little light of mine, I'm gonna let it shine. This little light of mine, I'm gonna let it shine. This little light of mine, I'm gonna let it shine, let it shine, let it shine, let it shine. Ain't gonna blow it out, no, I'm gonna let it shine. Ain't gonna blow it out, I'm gonna let it shine. Ain't gonna blow it out, nope, I'm gonna let it shine, let it shine, let it shine, let it shine. When I started singing that, about 7 or 8 birds, sparrows, started flying down, listening to me and playing with the earth, like picking things out of the dirt. Then I saw these two little girls with their dad, and one of them was grabbing a bulldog with its leash. And she was just a little 4-year-old, 5-year-old, and she started running. And the dog was yanking her. It was a pit bull. She kept falling down, then she'd go back and get the leash and pull, and then the dog would knock her to the ground. Now 3 or 4 times. Then do you know what she did? This is where I saw my inner child speaking to me. There I am, like my grandmother's like the bulldog, and I'm trying to hold her on a leash, and she keeps pulling me and knocking me down and pulling me and knocking me down. So finally, the 3rd or 4th time, she let go of the dog. She moved away from the dog. She dropped the leash, and she went running over to her daddy, and she let daddy pick her up, and there was God. There was God, Father God, picking me up, my little inner child, and putting me into the swing. Then he started pushing the swing, and the little girl was flying high in her swing, and the bulldog came running over with its joyful little sloppy tongue, trying to play with her as she swung. All of these messages, as I sat in quiet contemplation, came through to me. And what a miraculous day it was. I have not had one negative thought about my grandmother since. I let the miracle of life, the miracle of Gaia, her messages, her children, her dogs, her fathers, her daughters, her oak trees, her birds, and even the trash, the little piece of trash I found on the ground, communicated the truth, Sat Nam, the truth that I am always seen. I am always heard. Someone is always listening. So I don't have to be seen and be heard by my grandmother. Next time you are in a family feud, here's my advice. Go take a walk alone. And open your eyes to look around and receive the messages from the universe. The messages will guide you. Your higher soul is your best friend. I encourage all of you during this Christmas season to remember Christ. Remember Christ's words in Matthew. Ask and it will be given to you. Seek and you will find. Knock and the door will be opened to you. For everyone who asks receives. He who seeks finds. And to him who knocks the door will be opened. Ask for help. Ask for guidance. So in everything, do to others what you would have them do to you. And for this sums up the law and the prophets. Matthew 7 and 7, Matthew 7 and 12, if you'd like to look that up in the Holy Bible. Just one of the many books that I absolutely love. I follow the Bible's teachings, the Gurmukhi language, which is the Sikh hymnal book called the Guru Granth, powerful spiritual text. I follow the Vedas from India. I follow a lot of teachings, Reiki teachings, modern and ancient. And it brings me great wisdom because the wisdom of all these different religions lies within us and we can discover it for ourselves. Merry Christmas. May you be blessed and may you recognize you already have everything you need right here, right now. You already are the prophet and the priestess. You already are God. God is not outside of you. God is inside of you, seeking to express herself, to express himself through you. Please communicate with me through email, through text, reach out on Facebook, or on any of my social media accounts. If you need help this Christmas season to uncover the truth underneath the belief structures, the truth underneath the belief structures, I am here for you. I'm here for me. I'm offering 22-minute sessions to anyone who just needs help for the month of December and January. There's no charge. I usually have a charge of $44 for the sessions. I just want to be of service to humanity. During this Christmas season, the end of 2017, a very challenging year for all of us. but also a beautiful year, because no longer can the evil that we have all collectively created, no longer can the evil control us, manipulate us. The rise of God and Goddess expressing itself through you is happening right now, and it's called the ascension process. I am your humble ascension guide. If you want my help, please reach out. Search Radiance Technology LLC, facebook.com/Radiance Technology. Search thekundalini-shop.com. And if you would like to email me, the email is jenniferg@thekundalini-shop.com. THEKUNDALINI, thekundalini-shop.com. Until we meet in person or live on camera, I want to tell you that there's a Celtic blessing we always say in Kundalini Yoga, and I'm just going to repeat it to you right now to close. May the long time sun shine upon you. May all love surround you, and the pure light within you guide your way on. Sat Nam.